Hey, how you doing? This is Dr. Prodigal. Just giving some thoughts today. Just looking. Um, it's amazing how people would judge your faith by what they believe that you should believe in and how you should act. Why do I say that? We see many things happening in the United States right now, but we seem to overlook a whole lot of things just to concentrate on something sexual. America has become a very sexual society where you can look at a regular TV commercial for like toothpaste and somebody got a bikini on and they're grinning and the guy falls out, or the guy grins and the lady falls down and her heart is pumping or something. It's just so crazy. So I choose not to even look that way, not that I'm ignoring it or denying its existence, but that's not my focus. So what happens? People mention the LGBTQ community. I think I got it right that time, finally. Okay, that's one aspect of society. The big hoopla has been flying the rainbow flag in the place of a POW flag. Well, already, I'm going to tell you straight on up, that ain't working for me. I could care less what nobody think, call me what you want. But when you have the American flag, the state flag, and a POW flag on a veterans site, a veterans memorial, no, that flag ain't got no business there. Now, people can argue back and forth with, the embassy and flying the flag, and that's okay. You can argue with that. Personally, I don't believe it's supposed to be there because we're representing the United States. That is sovereign ground for the United States. So here we are. We have all of these different things. We see this. We see the differences in the sterile society and everything sexual. Now, while we're leaning over to some of the new things that have come about that I'm not going to go along with, and a lot of it is no way I can even think about it or even understand. That doesn't mean I hate you. It just means I don't agree with you and your lifestyle. You're not going to make me change it. So let's get that straight. Just like I'm not going to change mine because of you. Let's get that straight. And it's okay because we can still coexist together. But then here it is, I'm seeing that all these other sexual things, while everyone is dismissing the toothpaste, the scantily clad toothpaste model, but they're also dismissing things that kids are taught in school. I really think that America needs to pay attention to what our kids are being taught. At one time, the home was the primary example of education for a child, at least the foundational. Now, it seems like we send kids to school and tell the kids to, be raised by a school teacher. Well, you don't know what that teacher is about. I'll give a prime example. My son was about maybe 3 or 4 years old. Now, I take it back. He was about 5. He was in kindergarten and everything. We had him in a nice little daycare. Pretty much third generation. My sister had her kids there. Here my son was there. And then later on, my son even had his son there for a minute. But this one time, he came home and I was washing dishes. I'm like, okay, I'm a single parent. I'm washing dishes. Not a problem. He says, Dad, if you spank me, I can call the police and I'm going to send you to jail. I said, okay. Who told you that? And he told me. Okay, not a problem. Well, then it turns out that this teacher told him because she was saying about molestation and everything else. She took this thing way. He was only worried about Power Rangers, and she took the thing into sex toys and molestation and everything. And then said that we could get locked up if we didn't like it. Well, needless to say, I went up to the school the next day, and by the time I finished, they were profusely apologizing, and then the teacher was fired. But again, the sexuality of America has overcome the fertility of America. Why? Because we want to have all this fun sexually outside of the organized realm of it, which is marriage between a man and a woman. Okay, people get mad, but I just go biblical. Adam and Eve, it was the beginning. I believe in the law first mentioned. Okay, now here it is. We don't want the consequence of it, which could be pregnancy, which many times is pregnancy. So what do? We use other things as birth control. Well, the best birth control pill that I have ever seen, I'm thinking it may be like $4 for maybe 100. I believe the last time I checked, and I know science and media is not really reporting on this, but it's a small pill. It's about maybe a little bit bigger than a birth control pill, but it's nowhere near as expensive. I mean, it's called an aspirin. You take it and you put it between your knees and keep them closed. When someone told me that, I screamed laughing. I said, well, it does work. But we tend to lean toward the fleshy things now. So in there, then we're not only just enjoying the pleasure, but we're refusing the purpose of it, which the original purpose was for procreation. So we're not procreating. We're having a lot of conception. We're having copulation without conception. So in essence, let's break it down. We practicing for the Super Bowl, but we'll never play, but it's okay to practice. So now that causes a problem. And why does it cause a problem? Because the consequences of sexual activity are possible pregnancy, disease, some of everything, even psychological, spiritual damage. But we keep pushing this as America. America has become like Sodom and Gomorrah. Am I speaking of the homosexuality? No, I'm not. I'm speaking of the way we treat people, the way we treat one another, the violence that we deal with, and the violence even included rape, such as it was with Sodom and Gomorrah. Not necessarily that they wanted, whatever, but it was a rape, and they weren't conceiving. Why do I say they weren't conceiving? Because here it is, you don't have any mention of children. And God, that's not our purpose in the earth. So no mention of children. And these men are going to rape other that they thought were men. I would say that was Peter and excuse me, that was Michael and Gabriel that accompanied God while God was still speaking to Abram. But here they are down here, and these guys want to just rape them. That's violence. Yes, it is involving sex. So now let's look at the other side to that. As soon as Lot got away from there, his daughters go to him, and she gets pregnant, both of them. So what was really happening in that town? Nothing was being procreated. Yet the daughters had husbands that stayed there, and they couldn't get pregnant. Now that's something about what we're doing. The enemy will always use that sexual thing to come at you. He's used it all throughout history. Oh my gosh, has he used it? Some of the most premier men have fell to sexual immorality. Even in our churches today, many of the moral shortcomings are sexual. Many, if not most. So am I saying that sex is a bad thing? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But we need to go back to the beginning. I really wish I had been a virgin being married. You don't have that question to answer compared to what? If you only know what, then you don't need to know compared to. Because there's no comparison, you have nothing to compare it to. That's just like me, some of the delicacies in this area. One of them is muskrat. I ain't eating it. But if I were to eat it, I have nothing to compare that to. Because a muskrat is still a muskrat. Now, if they had a Chinese muskrat compared to a South American muskrat or European muskrat, then that may be different. It may be a different taste. But to me, a muskrat is a muskrat here. I ain't the one. So that's the same as our sexuality in America. We've assigned sex to everything. Oh my God. It's something I noticed on the Viagra commercials. The woman always has the same sultry position and a beautiful blue dress. So what can I, being a business major, what can I say about that blue dress and the sultry? Sex sells, so you gotta have a fine girl up there. And the blue is subliminal suggestion of the little blue pill. We don't think about that, do we? And then, it's always that you'll have this person. The truth of it is, 98% of us ain't gonna be in bed with somebody that's a supermodel. It's just the truth of it. But you better make sure it's your supermodel that you're sleeping with. Otherwise, the runway you walk may not be good. But, that's the thing. And then even with all of the drugs, all of the gear, even the songs. And I listened just recently Sister Lisa, the pastor's wife of a church that I attend, she made a comment one day that, I should have said a statement, it wasn't even a comment, that meant much of the music we used to listen to, we didn't think nothing was wrong to it, but we listen to it now, we're wondering. So I started listening to a lot of my old school music again. Rick James, The Girl's a Freak, she's a super freak. You know, Back It On Up Now with Chuck Brown, Pull Up to the Bumper with Grace Jones, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was all up in the club, jumping with that. Cameo, She's Strange. Oh my gosh, I could keep going back. There was a very subtle turn from My Girl and Ain't Too Proud to Beg and things like that. You know, the tracks of My Tears, with the tears of a clown. La La Means I Love You. And then all of a sudden it started twisting. And that's how we fall. Little by little. Poco y poco, as my friend in the Dominican Republic would say. Little and little. What are we doing in America to where we're promoting the act of sex, but we're not promoting the purpose and reason for sex? What are we doing? We're taking something that God made that's beautiful, mystical, and spiritual, and we're turning it into a base thing, a real base thing. Maybe in America, if we pull back from everything that bombards us daily with sex, whether it's male or female now, or whatever, but it just bombards us until finally, I guess, you're dealing with it. I'm not saying that I want to be Amish, that I don't want nothing around, but I'm a little bit more, you could say, observant of the things that come into my eyesight and my ears. To the point now, I'm actually sitting at my desk trying to think of how I can get the basic TV channels without cable. They try to make it almost impossible. It's going to cost me close to twice as much if I take the cable off of my package and just keep the phone and the internet. So I keep it, but there's no way I'm going to watch all them channels. And it's not a whole lot I watch on. Not even the news. Not even the news. So how about we as saints begin to watch and see not the big changes as it's like, boom! It's not going to be that. It's going to be a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. A little bit at a time until we find out we're running out of time. Hard message. Many churches may not say it anymore, but sin is still sin. When God says holiness, that he wants us to live in that, he doesn't say that we have to be holy for the women that be looking like dried up crayons and the men that be looking like roosters up in church, you know, speckled roosters, that they got all the glamour and the glory, but the woman is a dried up, you know, prune because of some religion or some doctrine. No, he's saying holiness as seeking him in everything we do, seeking to live to please him. I know some people that they say they pray 90 times a day. Okay, while you counting, I'm just walking through glad that I can pray to God. And I don't pray every 15 minutes, but I try not to let 15 minutes go by without me praying. So while every 15 minutes somebody's praying, I want to pray every minute of the day. And that prayer is nothing but listening to what God is saying, because prayer involves more listening than speaking. That prayer involves me just asking God, communing with him like Adam did when he walked in the garden and God came walking with him in the cool of the day. The voice of the Lord came walking. That's wonderful to see that. That's what it is. And then I don't have the time to concentrate on a lot of sexual things. Am I still going to look at the TV and look at like, okay, this is what it's doing. It's getting us ready for something else. Because before we know it, we're thinking like, oh, well, when did this happen? While we slept, the enemy sowed tares. Now you got to let it come up together. And that's a hard thing, knowing that you may lose a lot of your crop because of the tares that you allowed to be sown. Any door that we open, any door that we entertain, the enemy will get in that crack and he will make it a big valley. It won't be a crack anymore. It will be an entrance for tanks. So, am I saying that I'm going to be approved, that I'm not going to watch anything? No. But I like for us to be aware of the sexualization of America. So where even kids are coming home from school, first graders, talking about genitals? What? I'm glad that I was able to raise my kids and they're all grown now, because I don't know how I could deal with what I'm seeing today in our school system. We're fighting so much over these little so-called sexual laws and gender equality laws. Why does everybody think it just began now? Just like with the music, poco y poco, or little by little. It's the same thing that's happening now. But we can arrest this sexual behavior. It is a known statistical fact now that a lot of millennials are not having sex like, others like we did as baby boomers and all of that, Generation X. A lot of them are not. They're not doing that. But the trade-off on that is they also are not procreating. We need to multiply at a certain level to maintain the standards of our country and our population. We're falling behind in that. Am I telling people to go make a lot of babies? No. I'm just asking you to think right now. There's a reason why God said be fruitful and multiply. There's reasons why he said a man and a woman in the covenant of marriage. There's a reason why he's speaking to drink waters from your own cistern. All of these are reasons. And what happens if you don't? You will have the sexualization of America or any country. And why do I say that? Some of the most conservative countries, not Islamic countries, but conservative countries that, such as Israel and America tries, we also have the biggest populations of the LGBT community. And Israel, I was shocked to find out, that has one of the largest gay pride celebrations in the world. Who would have known? But again, while we're looking at that as, this that gay thing, it's all part of the same problem. The sexualization of America. So the next time that you see someone that's they have their little gay pride or something on, don't attack them because they're gay. Don't. Just understand it's par for the course, because while you're looking at them and they're looking at you and your its. The ones that attack gay people and what they're doing and all this, and then you find out later on multiple sexual partners, possibly even a gay one here or there. That doesn't equal anything but sin, regardless. Matter of fact, so people can, because I've had people approach me and say, well, you seem to speak up for the gay community. No, I speak up for all communities and the righteousness of God that's needed in all of them. But let's look at it this way. Okay, it doesn't have to be anything like that. You don't have to look at, let's just move that out of the way. Let's bring some other things in the way. Pornography. The sexualization of America. I'm going to tell my age a little bit. I can remember way back. I won't say my neighbor's name because some people may see this to still know them or their offspring. But it was a gentleman on that block. He would always get his magazine. He was very upstanding too, according to people. We used to sneak in the back and sneak in his trash and steal his magazines. That was my first introduction to pornography and Playboy books and things like that. That came from a certain individual. I almost said his name. Now, as I looked at that, I think back now, everything came in brown paper wrappers. And he had to pretty much meet the mailman, I guess, so his wife wouldn't see him. He was retired. And we could tell when it was we on the porch playing and he'd be waiting for the mailman. We say, okay, he can throw the other one out when he get this one. And we get back in and get through it, swoop, and go on and run to the car with it. Old wrecked car in the back somewhere. And we look at it. That was the sexualization of America beginning. Now what is it? We got telephones. We can walk around and access all the pornography we can. I read a report maybe about a year ago online that said the X-rated industry lost billions of dollars because of internet porn that's free. So why is it that something like that is free that can damage all the get out of you, damage you to hell? But we have medication that we have to pay for with an arm and a leg. Again, I ask you this week to just look and see how America is being sexualized. Even the kids, sexting, and, teachers sleeping with kids, and kids, sleeping with teachers, all of that. Let's see how many sexual things show up in the news. Let's see how much sex is attached to something. Oh, he was the girlfriend of she was the girlfriend of a drug lord. Yeah, he was a gigolo for this older woman. Oh yeah, they were doing this. They were going out. It seems like it must be mentioned now. We need to take a look at some of the seductive things that are happening in America. God bless you. This is Dr. Prodigal. Gonna keep everyone in prayer. Gonna keep getting up in the morning praying. And just continue to watch and pray as well. Hit me up. dr.e.t.davisi@gmail.com. Come on, let us reason together. And in the meantime, let's continue furthering the kingdom.